This conference will now be recorded.
And so this is a great opportunity for you to ask questions of Bryan. Bryan is from the Norwell Police Department. He's done this presentation for us before. We have had it on video. We're actually going to be taping it today as well. Cap is available to us. So we really appreciate all the work that Bryan has put into this presentation. And so I'll let you take that away, Bryan.
Awesome. Let me see if I can do this best room. Good morning. Good morning. Hi guys, I'm Sergeant Bryan Resnick with the Norwell Police Department. I've been in, who here's never sat in this with me? Like, who's never had it? Oh, all right, a fair amount. All right, so those of you who had sat it before, the material is updated, so a lot of it's going to look a little bit different. So bear with me on stuff you've heard before. So for those who have never met me before, I'm the 412 Sergeant here in Norwell. I've been in law enforcement about 16 years. In addition to what I do here, I'm an operator and a sniper in the large PCB regional SWAT team. I've done that for about a decade. So that's how I ended up kind of getting into this stuff, and now this is what I know. I am definitely not the end-all be-all. I do have a pretty fair amount of experience, but if you have a question and I don't have the answer, like I have a fabulous network, and I'll find the answer for you. Okay, so I'll make sure that nobody leaves here like unsure of themselves or unsure of the material. We'll just ask you to hold the questions till the end. It's a good chance that I'll get to it like during the presentation. But at the end, I'll do a question and answer. If you have a question, please ask it, because 7 other people probably do. They just don't want to raise their hand. And if you're not comfortable, that's totally fine. I'll hang out for as long as it takes and do one-on-ones with anybody that has any questions about the material. All right, here we go. All right, so just quick agenda. We're just going to try to do about an hour of death by PowerPoint, and then we'll move into just like the question and answer. I know I'm not like the PowerPoint is here to keep me on track. I'm not a big PowerPoint guy. All right, so violent intruder, okay? So a couple of keys to success when we start to talk about this subject matter. So first and foremost, it's worth acknowledging that like people here are going to fall into one of two spectrums, right? So like say on one side of the room, I have like my doomsday preppers, right? So you people watch like a lot of survival television, like you definitely like that, right? Like you watch Naked and Afraid all the time, like you don't tell anybody. You have like potable water in your basement, like you probably tried starting a fire in your barbecue, like with flint and steel when no one was around. And then the other side of my room, right? I'll have people that are like that aren't really comfortable talking about it. Some people aren't even comfortable thinking about this subject matter. It's important to note that wherever you fall in this spectrum, that's normal, okay? Like these are normal reactions to like an abnormal subject matter, all right? So the goal for today is just to like engage in active thought about this. So like if you're my doomsday prepper, awesome, you're on board. If you're somebody who's hesitant, awesome, like just like, you know, try to make it through the material, try to mentally engage in the process. Training is a perpetual process of development, so it will continue to progress as a collective, all right? So we look at things from a worst case scenario point of view. So it's not just because cops are wicked fatalistic, even though we are. When we talk about this stuff, all right, I want you guys to think like Red Dawn, like the Russians are going to parachute and they're taking over the MDMA, all right? So why do we think about like Red Dawn? Because if we can talk about plan for Red Dawn, then, you know, your actual emergency is probably going to be somewhere in between like Red Dawn and then like the everyday normal controlled chaos that you call like Monday, right? So it's going to be in the middle. So we can wrap our head around the worst. We can deal with everything else that's below it, all right? Tactics. So this is tough for people. So tactics are not black and white, guys. They're grays. I feel like in our line of work, like nurses, cops, like we like right answers, like right, wrong, give medication, don't medication. Here's the protocol, here's not the protocol. Sorry, that's not how tactics work, right? Like they're imperfect solutions to real world problems, all right? So if there was a perfect tactic, then like no general would have ever lost a battle. No police officer would ever lose their life. I would just be like, employ the perfect tactic. And we would like win every time. It doesn't happen like that, okay? So like, it's okay. It's gray, all right? Super key for today, adopting an active mindset. A lot of what I'm going to ask you to do is to not be receivers, to not be reactionary, to be feeders, to be the people who are actively taking part in your own problem solving, all right? We're going to talk about that a lot. So what ifing? What ifing is awesome. We're actually going to talk later about the power of what ifing, because it has substantively studied power to role play scenarios mentally with ourselves and with our peers. But it's important that we do it, that we always keep them in the realm of the realistic, and we end with us winning, okay? It's very easy to, I've had people, and I use the same example every time, and they're like, so the bad guy comes in and he has a tiger and I'm allergic to large cats and I start sneezing and I can't stop sneezing. You're like, all right, like, this is delving out of the realm of the realistic, right? And then there's also, it's very common for people to like think about this stuff and be like, I can't see a way that I would win. Like, I'm gonna get hurt, I'm gonna die. Like, there's no way I'm gonna win. And that's, it's statistically untrue, first off, but it's also like counterproductive to your own well-being, all right? It's important to like pull yourself out of that and to like, to finish and be like, no, you know what, I can win. And every time you think about something, it always ends the same way. Like, we win, you go home, life is good, all right? And then, honestly, the last part today is just, this is about empowerment, right? Like, you guys are crisis decision makers. It's what you do all day at work anyway. All I'm going to do is give you a different paradigm to view this problem through and give you some tools in your toolbox that you can use to solve these problems, all right? Wham! All right, so let's start by kind of just understanding who are the players involved and what are their mindsets. So the violent intruder, okay? So pretty simple. They're looking for most possible damage, minimum possible resistance, all right? So there's a reason that like active shooters are not attacking like, for the most part, military installations or police stations. They're not looking for a hard target. They're looking for like soft, vulnerable targets. So bad guys, big bang, lazy, little buck, all right? That's what they're looking for. It is also super important to note that like they have already accepted that this is going to have a violent outcome. This is the hardest part, I think, for normal everyday human beings to wrap their mind around, right? Like, so this person might be a stranger to us. This person might be someone we've worked with, right? That's part of the realm of possibility. And for whatever reason, the rational part of us would like to say that, like, I could see Billy and be like, Billy, like, we went to coffee last week. I brought you a medium regular. Like, I'm a good guy. Remember me, right? But like, this person, for whatever reason, and it honestly doesn't matter why, is not in the mental space to be rational, to be negotiated with. Like, you can think of somebody like this, it's like the Terminator, right? Like Terminator Life, like you can't be bargained with, you can't be reasoned with, like, that's their mindset. So like, thinking that we are going to plea bargain our way out of this, that we're going to appeal to someone's humanity, like, it's just not gonna work. It's as simple as that. Like, statistically proven to be untrue. So it's worth just putting it out of your mind and moving on, okay? So the police, what's our goal? So our goal is to stop the behavior, all right? By any means necessary. So that might look like a lot of different things. So we come in and the bad guy engages the police with gunfire. Well, that's a win because he's not hurting good people. We come in and the bad guy self-inflicts and kills himself. That's a win. Hi, come on down. That's a win for us, right? Like, he's not hurting good people. The bad guy flees out of the building or barricades in a bathroom or even takes hostages and slows down the situation. Those are all a win for the police because ultimately, as long as bad people are not hurting good people, we are winning. Does that make sense to everybody? So we should not be surprised at things like when the police don't stop to have like a long casual conversation with us, or maybe don't stop to render medical aid right away, because what is the police's goal when we get here? Stop the behavior. Go right to the problem and stop the behavior, all right? And so the public, you guys, so what's your goal? So your goal is pretty simple. You guys are, if the bad guy wants easy available targets, your job is communication, separation, and denial, right? You're going to communicate to each other about the plan, separate good guys from bad guys, and if you do end up encountering them, to not be a soft target, to present like maximum resistance, all right? It's worth noting that I'm not asking you guys to storm the beach of Normandy, all right? Like, so that is not what we're doing. How long is I mean, it's on there, so if somebody doesn't get this, then we can seriously talk about the hiring requirements here. How long do we think the violence of a typical active shooter in America lasts, give or take?
2 minutes.
Oh my God, it's amazing. 2 minutes, yes. Coincidentally, what do we think the average police response time in America is right now, give or take? 2 minutes, right? Aha, like, it's not a mystery, right? Like, so this is the amount of time that I'm asking you guys to stay active and make decisions. 2 minutes, all right? You can do it. So we talked about this bad guy, big bang, little buck, and super high likelihood of self-infliction, all right? Like, when we look back historically through active shooters in America, the Secret Service says technically there is no profile, but there are patterns. So Texas State University and a couple other people have compiled some pretty good studies. They ended in 2015, so they're not 100% current, but for law enforcement, that's pretty current as far as figures go. So notably, they're almost all male. The majority of them happen with handguns, not long guns. Almost almost 90% were only 10 rounds fired or less, which is actually not a lot. Like you think with the news, you see the stuff that people come in and they're just like hosing down millions of bullets, right? Statistically, that is not what happens, all right? The overwhelming majority are single intruders, all right? And it is super important to notice that almost half of these people self-inflict, all right? And right now it's kind of like 50-50 whether they self-inflict, whether confronted by like just a regular responsible citizen or a police officer, all right? Because part of the mental breakdowns is people are they're super prone to suicide, all right? It's just it seems to be part of the deal. That's changed a little bit, like, you know, when we talk about planning for the worst, like we're gonna like the worst to be is like hardened religious extremism, like a Muslim jihad or something like that, or like a Christian Islam. That would be like the worst. Somebody who is made, you know, they want to die for their faith, like your typical American prototypical like kind of we think like school shooter or workplace shooter is much more common. So. All right, so goals, our goal, we already talked about this. Stop the bad behavior. We are going to enter immediately, like some of the stuff you saw down in Parkland, Florida, that is not going to happen here. It's just as simple as that. Like our people are highly trained. We train in 4-person tactics, 2-person tactics, 1-person tactics. We train active shooter with surrounding agencies. Like rest assured, like the bad boys are coming. We are going to do what needs to get done. Like I will drive my crew from this building and come in here to like save you people. It's like it's happening. So you don't need to worry about the police. I'm not equipped or untrained or unwilling. Like that is not a factor. It is important to know that everything that we do, as far as like our police response, is information driven. And when we get into your guys' response protocols, it's going to be the same thing, right? Good information drives good decision making, all right? And it's also important to note that like you just not have normal police having you that, like you have everybody. So part of the benefit of being on the large SWAT team is I get to do a lot of work. We do like 30 to 50 real world call-outs a year, so we're pretty busy. So most notably, we're sister teams with Boston, so we were like one of the first teams in for the marathon bombing for Watertown. And when I tell you that like everybody is coming, I mean like everybody is coming. Okay, like there was ice cream trucks with blue lights on those days. Like there was people that I was like they were cops, and I was like I didn't know these people were cops. Like they were the International Agency of Police, policing other police agencies for policing. I'm like I've never even heard of people, but like come on, let's go. So everybody is coming. It's actually so many people that it's tough for us to stage and actually do the logistics of the resources. You're getting that much of. So you're not alone. All right, so your goals, like we talked about, communication, right? Who do you need to communicate with? Well, the police, right? So we need to start that 2-minute stop clock that we talked about, and each other. Separation, right? It's pretty easy. That's what we're doing here. Lockdown and evacuate. We're separating good guys from bad guys. We're denying them the soft target that they're searching for. And if separation fails, we're going to talk about how do we resist, all right? And then the key part, active mindset. You guys are going to get these tools to use. You're going to take the best information you can. You're going to make a choice. And after you're done making a choice, the next thing you're going to ask is, okay, what's next? And you're going to go on to planning or preparing or starting to make the next choice, all right? Everybody go with me so far? Awesome, great. All right, so let's dive into like the heart of the response material. It's worth noting that everybody has the same response material, all right? This is not a secret. Like, you can go look up Alice or Run, Hide, Fight or Lock, Leave, Live or any other program on YouTube tomorrow, okay? The tactics don't work because it's a secret, okay? So it's not like we're like authenticate, like Crimson Tide, that crack the decoder and Alpha, Bravo, Bravo, Charlie, go, like, and no one else knows this. The tactics work because they are crafted and designed with the mindsets and the goals of the individuals involved. And those are the things that remain constant through every incident that we look at through history, all right? Does that make sense, everybody? All right, so 4 phases, right? Communicate, lock out, get out, take out, all right? Communication is like a must, but it's important to know that these are not like, this is not step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, all right? These are tools in a toolbox, all right? You guys are going to employ the tools with the knowledge that you have that you think is the most appropriate tool at the time. I have to present them in some kind of order because I can't talk about them all at once. So, but it's important to note that you don't have to be like, I must lock out. And then if that doesn't work, I must even, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, it's flexible, okay, guys? We tracking? All right, cool. Ooh, That's like there you go. That's like that probably took me 40 minutes. Yes, like there's a reason I wear a name tag at work, right? Probably not your next Mensa candidate. All right, so communication, information, lifeblood of good decision making. Information is so key. All right, so when possible and when safe to do so, right? Like, so if the bad guy, if you were working the front desk and the bad guy's standing there with a gun, you'll be like, please hold, sir. Cold silver, cold silver. So when safe to do so, right? You're going to provide information, all right? It's key to note that we're providing information. We're not giving commands, right? So I'm not telling people, everyone go to your cold silver rooms, lock down now, shut the door. Listen, just have them enact a plan and they can make their choices, right? This is so key. Radios, PAs, right? We call it radio, we call it button they push to talk. It is not a push to think, right? There's nothing worse than when I'm at like some kind of crisis call out and I hear, like, no, the comes first. So what am I going to say? Okay, put the information over and stay off. Why? Because we're only going to have like maybe one source of communication, maybe two. And as we tie it upwards of 9 other people access to that communication medium. So we want to like be succinct, put the information over, and then get off the road, right? Does that make sense to everybody? All right, cool. All right, so communication. All right, so first off, like notifying our coworkers. So you guys obviously have a PA system, right? You have, it's correct, you have 2 types of PAs. You have like a scripted response that you can use, or you can like free talk. Either one is fine, right? So, and you can do this multiple times throughout the incident. So, you know, maybe it starts with, I don't have time, and I just do the scripted one and an accent. But if I'm in my console room and I see the bad guy and I see his feet walk by my room and I hear him turn the corner, when he turns the corner, can I get out there and like, just sort of walk down, he's heading towards the, whatever, the Curry snack bar, like whatever it is, right? Like, so now other people in the building are like, aha, I know where I am, I know where he is, right? We can feed information during it over the PA, right? I will tell you from, like I said, I've probably been to 300 rural call-outs, and the first thing that goes is what? Comms. It goes down all the time. It's just, I don't know why, but it's the nature of communication technology. It's the nature of human beings. Like, communication will fail. It's okay, all right? So, like, it's okay that, like, you have a paging system, and during the event, someone leaves a pager open and now no one can page. That's going to happen, all right? You can communicate in other ways, right? We can do all calls over an email. We can call each other. We can yell and scream. Like, there's a bunch of different ways that we can communicate, right? Notifying first responders, right? Some things to note. So 911, if you dial a landline, it goes direct to the Norwalk Police Department. We don't actually dispatch in our station. We have a regional dispatch. It's located in Hingham. So there are more dispatchers working than we need. So you're not going to overwhelm the system, right? So I know that we had like a little training goes over, right? Which is good. Like, honestly, like, that happens. Welcome to real life. And I'd rather like we were talking about earlier, like, I'd rather have you guys push the button too soon than too late. Like, it's very easy to unpush the button. It's very hard to push the button after the fact and like try to buy time. It doesn't work that way in the real world, right? But 911, right? If you're like, gee, I wonder if anyone called 911, what do you think you should do? Call 911, right? So we're like, at some point when your brain is like, I wonder if anybody did that. Like Mike Jackson said, be the change. Pick up the phone, give them a call, right? Landlines are going to go direct to our regional dispatch. Even if you can't talk, if you leave a landline, open 911 line, police have to respond to that. 911 hang up, we have to respond to that. So even if you couldn't talk and all you do is 911, hang up, or 911, leave an open line, and police can hear the sound of screaming, like, that's fine. You can do that, okay? Cell phones are a mixed bag right now. They're like 50-50. They are in the process of changing technology so that cell phones will be routed from the nearest tower to the Shrek. But right now, the vast majority of cell phone calls from 911 go to the state police, and they go to the regional dispatch for state police, which is Framingham. Nothing against the state police, they're great guys, but that's not who you want, right? They run 2 to 3 troopers from Braintree to Plymouth, right? Like, you want local police here now, all right? So when you call 911 on a cell phone and they say state police, you say just transfer me to Norwalk Police Department, please. They'll transfer you to Norwalk PD because we run sectors, so there is a car in this geographical area 24/7. They're going to be your fastest responding unit, okay? Web dialing, I don't think this is an issue here, but it is something to be aware of. Like, a lot of places are now going to like internet dialing. So when you, like, I don't know if you've got that on your phone yet, like, do you want to enable internet dialing? It's starting to show up on people's phones. When you do that, the internet dialing, a lot of times you set up a profile, and a lot of times with this is still like pretty new for the 911 world, but that tech is showing your location as where you set up your information. So if you are at a place like outside of here, this stuff works too. It's not just in this building. And you do end up like being in a place where it's like web-enabled dialing, and if it calls over the web, just be aware that like it might show your location not as where you are. It might pop up as what you registered your phone at. So if you like registered your phone as like Billy Smith, 123 Smith Street, like, you know, Smithtown, USA, like that's what might show up, okay? Talked about that, talked about that, talked about that. We are awesome at this stuff. All right, so communication, simple language, all right? When I first started doing this, like the schools had like the time is 7:47. My name is Bryan Resnick. The clock on the wall is orange. So we're not doing that, okay? Like plain speak. Lockdown, lockdown. Code silver, whatever like language. We have a blank with a blank in the blank, okay? Like, hey, Mr. Smith is out front of the front entrance with a gun, okay? So right off the bat, I can start making good decisions. Like I can throw the microphone or this thing clicker on the ground on camera. Oh, sweet. Good job. I know where I am in the building right off the bat. I know where I am in relationship to the bad guy. I have an idea of what kind of weapon he has now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that so you can have some information. So this is where you can start to think about, oh, okay, what's my best course of action based on what I know at the time, all right? Communication. All right, so we're going to come back to this part. I'm waiting for my illustrious partner in crime. She's going to come down here and help me out with this. But who's actually ever heard a live gunshot? Who's ever heard a live gunshot in the building? Who's ever heard a live gunshot in this building? All right, so we're going to do that today. We're going to let off a couple of blanks and just so you guys know, because we're asking you to respond to an audio stimulus, right? And you've never heard it, right? And what does people's natural response to crisis, right? How does their brain work? Everyone's brain works this: denial, deliberation, decisive movement, right? So you hear something and denial, right? Every time you hear about an active shooter event, right? We'll use a school. People say, I heard gunshots and I thought it was fireworks, right? Fireworks all the time. Let me ask you, fireworks. Let me ask you a question. What was the last time that we went off fireworks inside the building? Like, is this like, are we at a fireworks factory and like this is what we do for a living? No, it's never happened, ever, right? But we take the unknown and our brain does what? It classifies it into the realm of the known, right? Denial. Oh, this isn't a shooter. It's like a New Year's celebration. We're lighting off fireworks. Like, no, it's not. It's June. It's like the end of the day. We're not using fireworks, right? And then we go into like deliberation, right? Like, geez, what should I really do? And then finally we go into decisive movement. The goal of hearing and starting to think about some of the stimuluses is we can save time and skip steps by being like, you know what? That's a loud bang. Maybe that's gunfire. Why not? Code silver. I'm hearing loud shots. Sounds like gunshots. Hey, disregard. Everything's okay. It's something else. Fine. But you know what? We've started decisive movement. We've bought time where like buying time is clearly what we were trying to do, right? All right. To be continued. All right. So let's get into the 3 phases. So lockout, get out, take out. So lockdown is like a great starting point. Statistically, it's extremely safe. I know that there's a lot of people that feel like lockdown is like I'm kind of a fish in a barrel. But I think I can only find like 1 or 2 incidents ever where like a properly locked and fortified door has actually been breached, and in both those instances, a lot of it came down to like poor room location. Sadly, when you hear about things like Sandy Hook, like not to talk a little bit dead, but like when people lose their lives doing this type of stuff as a police officer, as a citizen, you hear something, it is not disrespectful to talk about the incident afterwards. All right, you are not Monday morning quarterbacking. What you are is you are stealing a rep, all right? Somebody lost their life, so you can take the time to steal a rep and gain some knowledge from it, all right? And that's an important distinction. I feel like sometimes people feel disrespectful to talk about this stuff like you're judging that fact. No, you're not judging them. Like, they lost their life so you can learn a lesson. So, like, it is disrespectful not to learn the lesson, all right? So Sandy Hook, good people did the best they could with what they had at the time, but the fact remains that those classrooms that gentleman entered were all locked, all right? So, walked in, opened up on doors. Sucks, but that's what it is. So it is a good place to start. So first off, we're going to pick ourselves a room that lends itself to lockdown. Like you guys are lucky. We've already like pre-designated like code silver rooms, silver dot rooms for that. But if you're in the mall tomorrow, you can still use the same stuff, right? So like, you know, like in your high school, you have that computer lab that's all glass up front, so they can show off like the computers that the school spent like a bazillion taxpayer dollars on, and look how gorgeous they are. Not the best room to lock down in, right? It doesn't make sense. So pick a room that lends itself to lockdown. Once the lockdown is in effect, we're advising you not to open the door. I heard that was kind of like a subject of debate afterwards. Listen, ultimately, I can't tell you you have to do these things, but here's what I will tell you is that I will always choose the known over the unknown, okay? Like, it is a distinct possibility that your intruder is a member of your own population, right? It can happen tomorrow. Someone loses their job, someone's brain snaps at home, and they come in and they perpetrate violence. Like, if I'm in a properly locked down room, my known is that my room is locked down and I am now in like a safer condition than I was out there. When I open that door and unbarricade that door, I am now introducing the unknown. The training advice is going to be to leave the door locked. People have other options. They can move on to the next room, they can move to evac, they have other options, all right? So again, I'm not gonna be the one in the room making the choices, you guys have to make that, and part of that is, we'll talk about willingness later, but just food for thought. So when it comes time to evac, like the police will actually physically come around, we will like assist in evacuating everybody out, all right? So you'll actually see like, the police will put up line of sight security, and we will funnel you to a corridor of safety out here, all right? And then as soon as we lock down, we're not done, we're thinking about what's next, right? All right, so super key, lock out, not hide out, all right? Active, we're actively locking out, we're not hiding out. I know it's kind of graphic, but like I cannot stress this like strongly enough. Hide and hope is not a tactic, okay? Like it's not going to work. I don't know why, but people have three responses to crisis: fight, flight, or freeze. And freeze seems to be predominant right now in society. Like when we think about things like the Bataclan Theater in Paris, right? Hundreds of people in there, what they all do, just hit the floor and turtle up. Why? No training, right? And it's just a natural response. Not going to work. The intruder has already decided that the encounter is going to end how? Violently, right? So like, they're like, great, they're not like hiding and hoping it's not going to work. We are actively locking them out, all right? All right, so lockout or lockdown or enacting a procedure. Anyone can make the call, right? It doesn't need to be your boss. Anybody can see something, say something. We already talked about the information drives the event. It can also drive the level of lockdown. Everything doesn't need to be full red dawn, okay? Like, for instance, you might get a call from the police that we have some kind of, maybe we have a car stop that goes bad and we get the police involved shooting, like on Long Water Drive, right? Like, not really like a full red dawn lockdown, but, or a fugitive search. But maybe it's going to be, hey guys, listen, you know what? We're just going to, why don't you just stay in your offices and lock your doors? Or we're going to lock the front door and not let anybody in. Or hey, we're going to grab your laptops, we're going to proceed to a code cell room. You can continue to work, or we're going to watch a movie, or I don't know, like, we're going to watch Netflix and pop. I don't know what we do. But it doesn't all have to be like DEFCON 1, like the Russians are parachuting in. It doesn't always have to be like full board. Does that make sense, everyone? So we can scale this stuff up or down, all right? All right. But if we do go full bore, what does it actually look like? All right, so step one, lock the door. I know it sounds simple, but it's like the most missed step. Lock the door. All right, so step two, if possible, if you have the time, you can fortify the lock, right? You can also do this if you end up in a place where it doesn't have a lock, like you're in the mall bathroom tomorrow, and this kicks off, you're like, well, I can't lock it. It's pretty easy, right? Doors that open in, you jam with something to stop them from opening in, right? So a large, heavy object, a door stop, stops the door that opens in from opening in. Doors that open out, you can tie or affix to anything. What works really good is affixing a door to something larger than the door. So like if you take like this desk, for example, that is wider than the door frame and roll it in front and then take like two belts and move it through the door handle, right? And loop it around the desk. Now they would have to pull the desk through the doorway that is smaller than the desk. It's like almost impossible to get through, all right? So like step two, if possible, if you have time, fortify the lock. Awesome. Step three, make it look like that sports closet at home that you never supposed to open. So take everything on earth, I don't care which direction the door opens, open or closed, and throw it up against there, right? Because what are we doing? We're target hardening, right? We're taking a bad guy who wants easy doors and he's going to shake a door that is now locked, that is now fortified, that is now barricaded. Is he going to sit there and work on that door and work on that door? Maybe, but it's going to take him longer than 2 minutes. So congratulations, I come in and win. But more than likely, what's he going to do? Move on to the next thing. And while he's moving on, what's ticking? Right? So like, it's eating time. It's eating time. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. And then step 4 is, aha, you're done. Start thinking about what's next, all right? So what's next might be, okay, if I need to get out of here, how am I going to evac? If I can't get out of here, how am I going to craft a fight back plan? And that's what we're going to talk about now, all right? Everybody good on lockdown, lockout? We tracking? You guys are doing great. Super proud of you. You're special people. All right, so evacuation. So essentially, evac is information driven. Where am I? Where's the event? Where can I get to? One of the problems with some programs out there right now is they are stressing one thing over another, right? So I've been to every certification for every instructor level course for all of these things, okay? And some are stressing others, and that's nonsense, right? But we do this, like it's normal as parents, right? Like how many parents have said to the kids, I don't care what they say in that school. When this happens, you run out of that building, right? Like, because it seems logical, right? Except for the fact that, like, if I'm in a locked and fortified room in the back of the building, the incident's happening in the front of this building, or I'm in a locked and fortified room by the incident, does it make sense for me to break out of my perfectly safe locked and fortified room and try to, like, run past the event and, like, keep going out the front? No, it, like, makes no sense, right? Like, so I'm going to choose evacuation when I know, hey, where am I? Where's the threat, and where can I get to? Then, like, evacuation is a great choice, right? Why not? Hey, listen, I know I'm by the back of the building. I know they said it's by the front door. I know there's an exit right there. I know I can giddy out, and I know where I'm going. Awesome choice, right? It's important to note that we are not, like, locked into this. So it's not like you can evacuate and, like, something happens. You're like, nope, no, I chose evacuation. Sorry, like, already picked it. It's done. It's not like you know, like chicken or beef at a wedding. Like, you can change your mind. So if I'm evacuating and all of a sudden I see like, oh, like a perfectly good open silver dot room, I'd be like, oh, look, a room, and just stop and lock down? Sure. Could I start to lock down and then see like a window and be like, oh, I'm on the first floor, there's a window, I'm out of here, and just jump out the window and take off? Like, sure, it's totally fine, okay? So you're not like locked into a given course of action. Once we get outside, it's important to note that we are going to go somewhere, all right? So we are going to go to a hasty evac area, all right? We talked about this. So obviously talked about evacuation, like can I jump out a window, can I use interconnecting rooms? Talked about that. So, okay, so once we get outside, we want to go to a pre-designated hasty evac area if possible. Why? A couple reasons. One, we've chosen locations that are ideally somewhat sound and sight separated from the event to the best of our ability, all right? Like one thing we learned from the Charlestown Navy Yard shooting, not Charlestown, that's Boston. What is it, Virginia, Navy Yard shooting, was people fled the building and then just stopped outside the building. And then the guy leaned out the window and was like, bang, bang. And I was like, whoops, well, you got to keep going, right? So we're going to try to get to a pre-designated hasty evac area. One great part about that is we as the police know where these are, so we're going to be sending security resources and medical resources, okay? But if not, fine, we can still look for cover. What is cover? Cover is something that stops gunfire. What is concealment? Concealment is something that hides me, like, it's a bush, I'm not here, right? So, cover. Use the BF principle, big effing, all right? If it's a BF, it probably stops bullets, okay? BFR, big effing rock. BFT, big effing tree, right? Engine blocks on cars, solid curbways, cement walls, cover, cover, cover. All stops gunfire. Concealment, lone bush out front of the building, right? Like, it's better than just standing there being like, I'm not here, like, right? But it's not going to stop gunfire. Pretty much every part of an automobile, other than like other than the engine block. So like police movies would like, they get out of the car door and they're like shooting it out behind the car door. It's like ding, ding, ding. Like, oh, doesn't work like that. Like bullets zip right through car doors. They don't even slow down. Like you can shoot a handgun through one side of the car door, through the car, out the other side of the car door, and it keeps going. So they don't stop bullets. All right. And then like a lot of like regular commercial stuff, like doors and stuff like that. So I wouldn't ideally just like it's pretty easy to run rounds like through the door, right? I mean, obviously as we start to do this, it is worth noting that like the viability of the projectile goes drastically down. Like bullets don't just like, they're not lasers. They're not like, it's like, it's not Star Wars. They start to degrade and fall apart. Their effectiveness goes drastically down. Their trueness of their trajectory goes drastically down. And it really starts to depend on, okay, what's the projectile made out of and what's the medium made out of, okay? So some concealment is definitely better than air, okay? But it's not like, it's worth noting once more, all right? And then hasty HVAC areas. So where are we going? Please tell me I got this right. Somebody. Yes. So in the back of the building, you have kind of like that dumpster location on the back and then across the street. So those are kind of your two go-to hasty HVAC areas. But if for some reason, like you got out and the event spilled over outside, and you can't get there, can you just go to any like viable piece of cover? Sure, right? Like when in doubt, put a building or a terrain feature in between you and the event, right? Backside of a different building, a large hill, anything like that is fine, all right? Like, not so much for you guys, but I feel like for the schools, like the teachers are so ingrained for accountability that it's difficult for them to wrap their mind around the fact that accountability won't really matter till the end. Like, we'll go and do a reverse perimeter. The police will perimeter and face out and search. We'll find people. So, like, you know, I'd rather have you pick a location of cover and hide, and we'll find you in the end than just like stand out in the parking lot and be like, I'm not here. Good on that. Awesome. All right, guys, we are stand by second on that. This is my partner, Bryan. Let me, all right. Give my illustrious partner trying to help me out here. All right, so takeout. All right, so we're gonna get into like, so what happens when we encounter the bad guy, right? So what takeout is not, all right? I am not telling you guys to like pick up your pitchforks and your brooms and like storm Castle Dracula. Like so if there's somebody running around the hallways of the fire, I'm not telling you guys to like grab mop sticks and like be like, to war, and like march down the hallway. Like that is not sensible. That is not what we're saying, okay? Just to be clear on this. But what we are saying is that we need to accept the fact that despite our best efforts, separation might fail, right? And this is one of the things that I think separates my program from every other program out there is every other program will sit here for an hour and tell you how to pick up a phone, how to lock a door, and how to walk out of a building. You people do those things every day, right? But when it comes to actually how to resist, they tell you, you do what you gotta do. Go get them, right? But that's nonsensical. Why? Because people have almost no real world experience with violence, right? Like some of us might have seen violence, even been victims of violence, but that doesn't mean that we study or are actually educated in how violence works, right? Why? It's socially not acceptable, right? Like two kids fight in school, what happens? What happens? Did I say what happens twice? I did. What is the end result? They both get suspended, right? Like we are dissuading society from being violent. We are not allowing them. And the consequence is that we don't actually really have a firm grasp on how violence works. What is violence? It's a social dynamic between people, right? Not unlike communication, okay? But you're not really allowed to experience it. So since you're not allowed to experience it, where do we get our inferences or our information about how violence works from?
Movies.
TV, media, movies, right? Like I saw that, that's how it works. And 99% of it is completely untrue. So we form these assumptions based on bad information, okay? So here's what it's like. When it comes to resisting, right? If I don't give you any kind of information, it'd be like me telling you, you've never had a conversation with a human being in your life. And everyone's, hey, what's up? Guys, this is Officer Harding. Come help us out with some stuff. I'm gonna have you fire some lines in a couple minutes. Awesome, thanks. So if you it'd be like this. If I told you guys you lived in a cave and you never had a conversation with another human being ever, right? And all I ever did was let you watch midday soap operas. And then one day, randomly, I brought someone in there. I'm like, you're gonna have a meaningful heart-to-heart with this human being. And if this conversation goes bad, you die. Go. Like, what are your chances of success? Like 0, right? Because you actually have no real-world experience. So, what do we do, right? Well, we recognize that a lot of what we know is actually myth. And what do? We replace the myth with some substantive facts. All right, listen, I'm not going to turn you guys into like Commando Squad 7 here in the next 15 minutes. But what I can do is dispel the myths and give you some substantive information that will actually help you survive a violent encounter. And especially with this crew, because I know a lot of people have questions about, hey, how do I be safer or whatever when I'm on like a home visit and I'm not in the office. This information applies everywhere. So this is particularly applicable to this crowd. It's a sign. It's time for another sip of coffee. All right, so myths about violence. All right, myth number 1. Violence is instantly effective, right? Someone gets shot on TV and what happens? Their arm falls off, they fly through a plate glass window, 2 X's over their eyes. End game, right? Like, that was easy. Put it away. Not true, right? What percentage of handgun shooting victims live in America? 80%. 80%, and that's nationwide, folks, right? We live in one of the medical capitals, like, that includes, like, Arkansas, or, like, places where, like, people don't have opposable thumbs. No offense to my Arkansas, right? Like, but that includes the whole country where they don't necessarily have, like, tier 1 trauma centers, like, in pretty much every block, and med flight and all these other fabulous resources. So even if the worst happens and the bad guy shoots you, what are your chances of going home? They're still relatively very high, okay? So it's not like if the worst happens and you were to get shot tomorrow, well, that's it. Give it up, hang it up, check the box. I'm going, no. Continue to fight, okay? You have a statistically very good chance of surviving. Conversely, if we employ my fight back plan and we decide to take a fire extinguisher and bash the bad guy in the head, should we be shocked if he doesn't just like his head explodes and he falls down? No. If he goes, we should think what? Well, it's not instantly effective. I'm doing what? Do it again. I'm going to do it again, right? Because it might not be instantly effective, okay? Myth number 2, fighting should be fair. 2018, folks, fairness is like the #1 topic of every news media thing surrounding this country in some form or fashion. Americans have a huge hang-up with fairness. We want things to be fair. And we think violence should be fair. So I'll give you an example. I go to a bar tonight with my wife, right? And somebody makes a disrespectful comment to my wife. And then the guy turns his back. And when he turns his back from me, I turn around and I blast him in the back of the head when he's not looking. We would call that a
Cheap shot.
Cheap shot or a sucker punch, right? You know what we call that? It's a win. Okay? That's awesome. There's no such thing as fair. There's winning and losing. Cheating is good. I'll give you an example, right? So if we pick what's a sport that looks particularly violent? Like hockey. How about like a fighting sport that looks particularly violent? Boxing or mixed martial arts or something like that. That great example. We think of that, we're like, well, that's real violence, right? The skill sets that those people have are very real. The acts are very violent. But that is not an accurate representation of real violence, right? Why? So take boxing. 2 people meet in a neutral time at an agreed upon area with a contract, right? So the bad guy call you and say, hey, Susan, like, geez, I don't know, Tuesday at noon, would you be willing to have an active shooter? Like, I'm going to have my manager call you and let's see if we can work out the details. Let's, no, right? Like, they show up and they have what in the middle of the ring? Referee to keep it fair, right? And then on top of it, they show up practically naked to ensure that they don't have weapons on their person, right? Like, we're going to show that we're actually unarmed by showing up in, like, our boxer shorts, and then we're going to fight. This is not how it's going to happen in the real world. Does that make sense? Violence is not fair. Cheat and win, okay? Cheating is good. All right, number 3. This is less for, like, civilians. I see this a lot. It's for everybody. Emotion reaction will win the day, right? Like, so at some point in your life, I'm sure you've heard somebody drink a beer and tell you a yarn about, listen, like, you don't want to see me. It's like, when I lose it, what does your state of emotional readiness have to do with your ability to impart violence? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, are you going to crazy me to death? Like, it's not a thing. They're completely unrelated. It is what we say when we have no education on violence and we think that that makes us sound violent, all right? So if you said that in the past, I'm sorry, you have to forgive me, but now you're educated, so you'll never say that again. What do fighters do, like a boxing match, before the fight? Talk trash, right? Why? They want their opponent to be what? Emotional, distracted, off their fight plan, right? My first fight coach told me, when you're winning, you're here, kid. When you're losing, you're here, kid. You just hear all the time. Emotion is not going to help us make better decisions. It's not going to help us impart violence better. It's actually more of a distraction than anything. Emotion is not going to win the day, right? It's skill sets, and that's what we're going to do now, gain skill sets, all right? All right, so placing this with violence. Last thing is to note is that we talked about prior prep. Prior prep saves lives, right? There's a reason that someone gets paid bazillions of dollars to tell Tom Brady he's good enough and he's smart enough and like people like him, because there's power in positive thinking. So case in point, Leoka, law enforcement officers killed or assaulted in the line of duty. It's done by the FBI. They study it every year, right? And what do they find? Two things, right? They find one, that every cop that is in these videos has a mustache. So like if you're a police officer, don't have just a mustache. All right, so that's the first thing they find. I don't know why, but they all have a mustache. Two, yeah, you're good. It's okay. Two, over and over when you watch these videos, they all said, they're like, you know what's crazy? I was just talking to my partner about what would happen if this happened the day before it happened. I was just driving around thinking about, boy, if someone did this, what would happen, right? There is power in pre-thinking this. Why? We are shorting the chain. We are making decisions ahead of time. It helps us to react better and to react faster. And it also helps with our willingness. This is something we'll discuss in a little while, all right? So prior prep is good. No such thing as tough. It's a lie, guys. Like you either have training or you don't have training, and that's all there is to it. So what really wins a violent encounter, all right? So when we talk about what wins in violence, there's a pyramid of things, all right? And when you think about these, like, they're building blocks, okay? And as we go up, we have like a higher chance, but they also build upon each other, all right? These are gray. It's not like I can say they're tactics, right? So I can't say, oh, you had 3 and I had 2, I win. Life doesn't really work like that. But in general, the base is mindset, okay? Willingness and awareness. Willingness. Have I thought through what I'm willing to do and have I made peace with it, right? Like, have I thought through, like, am I willing to whack someone over the head with a fire extinguisher to save my life? Like, if I haven't thought it through and the time comes and I'm not willing to do it, none of the other stuff matters and I'm not willing to act, right? Awareness. Basic situational awareness. I'm paying attention, right? I could be the baddest ninja on the planet. And if I'm sitting here with my face and my cell phone and some guy walks up behind me and cracks me over the head, like, it didn't matter the rest of the stuff. I wasn't paying attention. Base mindset. Like, mindset is the base of everything. It has to be there, okay? So the next thing up is physical attributes. Like, again, 2018, I'm sorry, we love to say that we're all equal, but we're not, all right? When it comes to violence, size, strength, endurance, weight, this one kills me, age. Oh, it matters, okay? Like, I go to the fight gym 3 times a week, and if I roll around with a 20-year-old that's 25 pounds heavier than me, it makes a difference. It does. But what makes a difference more than physical attributes? Skill sets, right? Skill sets actually matter more. Well, now as I start to develop some kind of skill set, I'm able to overcome physical attributes. And at some point, maybe the physical attributes overwhelm my skill sets, and I need to build a bigger skill set in order to survive, all right? And then what comes above skill sets? Numbers. So again, I could be 25, super fit, pro MMA fighter, but at a certain point, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm not going to be able to overwhelm that many people. Does that make sense? So when we think about incidents like the Bataclan Theater, 300 people, 3 bad guys. I think there might have been like, it's not that it's their fault they haven't trained, is that a willingness issue? Is there any way that 3 people should be able to overwhelm 300? There's no way. Listen, like not to toot my own horn, but beat. Like, I shoot really well, all right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not good at many things in life, but I can run a gun. And there is no way that I should be able to take out this entire room of people before you, like, overwhelm me. It's not possible, right? Numbers. And that's one of the things you guys definitely have in your advantage, right? Well, how many bad guys on average?
1.
1. A lot more here, right? And then the last thing is tools. What separates the human race, right? Tools win encounters, all right? So let's dive into it. All right, so the 3 Ds. Think about, again, kind of like lockout, get out, take out. We don't have to do it in this setting. I'm like, I don't have to distract, then I disarm, then I just hit. No, these are just tools that you guys can use, okay? My favorite quote, self-defense is not just a set of techniques, it's a state of mind. It begins with the belief that you are worth defending. I can't stress that strongly enough. Self-worth is an undeniable issue for people. There are some people that don't feel that they're inherently worth defending. And if you fall into that category, I'm here to tell you today that it's simply not true. Like, you are, like, I'm a Christian. I believe that God made you all special. Like, you are worth it. Like, you all have something to go home to, all right? Like, it might be your loved one, your child, your dog. Last night's Game of Thrones. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, but you have something on your DVR that you need to get home to, okay? So, like, so if you do nothing else throughout today, like, take 5 minutes and make the decision. Like, you know what? I rock. Like, I'm worth the effort to defend, to go home, all right? So, distraction, the first technique we go. So the goal of distraction, interrupt the OODA loop, all right? Ooh, what is the OODA loop? So, this guy, Colonel Boyd, back in the WW Deuce, studies aircraft fighting, dogfighting, plane to plane, and he comes up with this cycle of human decision-making under crisis that he calls the OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, and act, right? And what is the OODA loop? Well, it's how we process information. So observation, we take in all the information around us. Orientation, we filter that information. What's important and what's not. Best example of that is like, remember when you first got your license and you're driving down the street, you're like, tree, car, bus, thing, and like everything is equally important. Like, but now you're like sipping your pumpkin latte, you're listening to the radio, you're watching Netflix, you're yelling at your kid in the back, and you're still able to get from A to B, right? Why? Because your brain has built up this buffer for filtering what's important information and what's not, right? Decision, make a hypothesis. Action, test the hypothesis. When we interrupt somebody's course of action, right, we force their brain to pick up and start back over again an observation, okay? So this is where the active mindset is so key, all right? We are not passive. We are not the receiver. The receiver is somebody who is reactionary. We're the feeder. We're the person who is changing the equation, the person who is causing somebody else's brain to pick up. So for example, I might be a really good shooter, but how good of a shooter am I if you fire a hot cup of coffee in my face? Like, does that change my decision-making pattern? Does that force my brain to pick up? Right? Absolutely. It's science, it's biology, or it's ology. It is an ology, all right? We can use distraction as a way to change our spatial relationship with somebody else, right? So there's a lot of things we can use to distract somebody, noise, white light from a bright flashlight, but the best is projectiles, like throwing something at somebody. You can use almost anything, but I encourage you to pick things that do one or two things. One, they should have a pain penalty, like, here's like my foam pool, like, maybe not the best. I mean, it's better than nothing, but, you know, I'd rather be hitting the head of the pool than hitting the head of, like, your stapler. Like, that's gonna stink, all right? And then two, it has to be something that we can projectile, right? So don't go up and be like, this desk. Right? Like, I think one of the best things going for this is like, is fire extinguishers. They're awesome, right? Because it's a projectile and a weapon. It does both. It's like as they would say in Boston, it's a two-pump, all right? It's awesome, all right? So projectiles, we can use to interrupt the loop and then change our space. So that's one technique we use. Distraction. Disarmament. Take the bad guy's ability to hurt us away. So we're talking about that fighting is about people, right? Well, it's really the science of people's relationship in space to other people. How far apart we are, all right? If we can manage distance, we can manage how much damage is done to us. And that is all fighting in any form of fashion. So we need some kind of yardstick to reference this by, all right? And the yardstick that we're going to use is called the reaction gap, all right? So I need a volunteer. Somebody want to come up here and help me out with this? Oh, I guess Hello, I'm Bryan. All right, so, what's your name? Sahadia. All right, so here's what we do, Sahadia. Here's the drill. We're both going to stand here, and we're both going to look at each other, okay? And I'm going to take, yes, so, I'm going to take this right here, and I'm just going to reach out, I'm just going to touch your shoulder, okay? That's all I'm going to do. What I would like you to do is you can move or you can block. Please do not like kick me or like I bruise. Like, so all I want you to do is you're gonna move or block. The only rule is that you can't move until you see my right hand start to go. So when you see my right hand start to move, you can kung fu block, you can move anything. Okay? All right. You clear on the rules? Watching my right hand? You ready to go? Okay. All right. Close. We'll try again. Watching, ready? All right. She will never win this. And it's not because she's not ninja fast. Why is she never going to win this? Because we're inside what we're going to call the reaction gap. Inside of arm's reach, action always beats reaction. Why? Because her brain looks at my hand and is like, oh my God, there it goes. And her brain tells her shoulder, and tells her arm, tells her hand to move, to block, right? That takes a quantifiable amount of time. And for every human, it's about a quarter of a second, okay? And you cannot trade it out or make it any faster. Now, if we do the same thing with me and Sahadia, but we're outside of arm's reach, you watching this hand? Ready? I'm never going to get it. Why? Because she has space. All right, big round of applause for my assistant. So when we think about people in our relationship to people, we need to think about inside of arm's reach, so inside the reaction gap. Okay, I told her to move over. Thank you. She's like, get back here. Outside the reaction gap. Okay, so now we have a frame of reference. So now we need to understand some things about some tools, right? Like what makes weapons dangerous and where do I want to be and where do I not want to be? All right, so, oh my God, it's prop time. My favorite time. So let's talk about earmuffs. No. Let's talk about. All right. This is not a real pistol. This just makes a laser. It's a pointer, but it looks cooler. Okay. So let's talk about a firearm. Any kind of gun. It doesn't matter. Big gun, small gun, bazooka. It doesn't matter. What's the only dangerous part of this to me? Point. The barrel, right? The muzzle. Is like that dangerous to me? Is that no, right? So a lot of us that are not experienced in firearms look at them and like, that's scary. None of this is scary. That's the scary part. Okay? So first off, where do we not want to be standing in front of somebody, right? That makes sense. And where do we not want to be if someone has a firearm? Well, the answer is we don't want to be just outside the reaction gap. Why? If I am just outside the reaction gap, can I implement my fight plan, whether it's to turn and run or to act before they can react? No, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to like get in and hit them before they can react. I'm outside the reaction gap. And when I'm close, their chances of hitting me go what? Up, right? So I either want to be really far outside the reaction gap or all the way inside in between the muzzle and the person. Does that make sense? So I can frame like where I want to be. All right. So now we have an idea of like what kind of space I want to be with the fire. How about, this is great. I love the thought thing. Never know it's gonna come out. How about, again, it's not real. Don't do that at home. How about a knife? Where do I not want to be with this? Inside the reaction gap, absolutely. How long is my reaction gap when I have this? Is it the length of my arm or the length of the end of the weapon? Yeah, my reaction gap got longer, right? So if they have a tool, like a knife or like a bat, I don't want to be inside the reaction gap because that's where they can action beats reaction, right? And it's the length of the tool. Does that make sense? All right, so now we have some idea about space. We're doing great. We want to change the spatial relationship with the bad guy, right? So I come around the corner, I'm evacuating, I see the bad guy, he's right there, he has a gun, right? I take what's in my hand, I launch it at them, I turn and run and I make space. Was that fighting back? Absolutely, right? What do? Distract to buy me time, increase the reaction gap and got away from them with a chance to hit me go down. That's awesome. I come around the corner and I see the bad guy holding the gun and I grab both his arms where the hands are and we just start to wrestle over the firearm, right? I'm in between him and the muzzle and I'm in the reaction gap where I can start to hit and feed and he has to receive. Is that good? All day long. Does that make sense, everybody? Like where's safe and what's not safe? Awesome. And then the last part, take out the goal. Take the fight to the bad guy, all right? So, what are we talking about at the top of the pyramid of violence? What wins encounters? Tools, right? So we're going to arm ourselves. Like this is huge, all right? When I talk about this is crafted for schools. I'm not 100% where you guys' policies lie. I'll get some clarification about like tools in the building, but I teach this with the premises that you are not allowed to like have tools here. I assume that there.
I don't even have a policy on policy.
So there's no policy, so I guess it's a no. No, it's fine, no, and honestly, like 70% of 70% of corporate America probably looks like that. Most people have a, it's not our business and we don't wanna know, okay? Like, but even for like, I mean, for you guys in your everyday life, like tools matter, okay? Listen, my wife is 5 feet, 100 pounds, and she carries a fixed blade knife file. Why? Because like I beat her down with my conservative rhetoric. It's fantastic, right? But no, because if I give a 12-year-old girl a 12-inch butcher knife, do you want to go tackle her? No, like absolutely not. Like so, like tools matter. So when we think about tools, we can break them down into 2 types, right? Things I can smash with or things I can stab with. All right? Smash things. They're everywhere, right? Like fire extinguisher, chair, sporting good equipment. Like for those of us who have friends that work in schools that like have 0 weapons allowed of any kind in a school, like sporting equipment, rocks. Like I do not want to get hit with a hockey stick. Like it's gonna ruin your day. Long tools like that are awesome because we can use that to keep someone with a knife where outside the reaction gap. So our reaction gap just got longer than theirs, right? And then stab, anything. Obviously, like a knife is the A tool, but like pair of scissors, pen, pencil, like hey, listen, if you fly tomorrow, like, and you can't have a weapon in the airport, throw a pen in your pocket or a number 2 pencil. Because you can have it on an airplane and you can use that to defend yourself. Like, no one wants to get stabbed in the eye with a pen or a pencil. Like, it's going to ruin your day. All right? So, smash and stab tools. So when we talk about using tools, we need to talk about just briefly about what do I want to do with them, right? Because I want to target specific areas of the human body if I'm going to do this. I can just go ham and like hammer at somebody, but like my chances of my violence being effective go down, right? And you guys should be great at this because you're nurses. So you understand how to fix people. So it means you understand how to break them. It's like great, right? So when we're looking at employing a tool, I want you guys to think about 1 of 2 targets, a timer or a switch, okay? A timer. A timer is something that sets a timer on how long somebody has in the fight. For example, if I was climbing a fence tomorrow and I cut my femoral artery climbing over the fence, how long does a human have, give or take, before I go unconscious? Yeah, 60 seconds, less than a minute, 30 seconds, right? It's a timer. So if I'm wrestling with the bad guy and I stab him with my kitchen knife in the femoral artery, I have to last what? 1 minute. I've set a timer. I just have to make it a minute. You know what I mean? I've got to make it to the bell. Does that make sense? All right. So, switches. Switches are something that inhibit mobility. So they allow you to move, right? So when we talk about smashing, we're going to talk about targeting switches, right? So if I just randomly hit somebody with like my fire extinguisher in the chest or like in like the bicep or something like that, it's going to hurt, but it might not actually be super effective. But if I target a switch, it's going to limit their ability to move. So for those of us that don't know, like this part of the human body is called the knockout triangle, right? There's a reason that boxers, they always say hands down or hands up, chin down, right? They don't say hands down, chin up. Your boxing career would be pretty short-lived, right? Like, but this is where you get hit. So do you guys remember like the knockout game that was on YouTube a couple years ago where like packs of kids were walking around like punching people, knocking them out, right? Like that's what this is, like the knockout triangle. Great switch, right? Awesome switch to target. Hands. Like what are the implements of violence? What do I need to use the tool? Hands, right? But if you smash my hand with your fire extinguisher, it makes it awfully tough for me to like impart violence on you, all right? So switches, anything that does mobility, pelvis, knees, elbows, hands, make sense? So like you're gonna smash, think a switch, think mobility. What can I smash to limit their mobility, their ability to hurt me, all right? If we're going to stab, we have timers and switches, okay? So timers, it's the human circulatory system, right guys? So carotid artery, throat, subclavian artery, femoral artery, kidneys, liver, any place where if you were a nurse and someone came in, you'd be like, ooh, that's bad, right? Like if someone came in and they had a knife sticking out there, and you're like, had to do the nurse face, where you're like, you're gonna be fine, right? Like if you have to do that, that's where you want to stab someone, okay? But you can also use switches too. Like so, for example, what do we have here? Brachial plexus, right? So like if I stab the brachial plexus nerve bundle, what happens to the arm? Stops working, right? So I can specifically target a switch or a timer to be more effective, okay? Same thing, spinal column, the women will love this one, the perineum, right? Like, so down there's a huge nerve bundle, right? Like, and if you get inflated in it, it's going to severely inhibit your movement. So, good stuff. The whole moral of the story is, if you have the presence of mind and you are going to be fighting for your life and you have the ability to target something on purpose, just vice randomly go ham, like try to target something on purpose, all right? You'll have more of a purpose-driven result. If you can't remember any of this and you go ham, go ham. All right, so last points about this. Okay, it takes a spark. So by doomsday preppers, it's worth noting that sometimes it takes someone to be like, hey, let's grab something and get ready to protect ourselves when we need to. It takes someone to initiate action sometimes, right? That's what's missing in like the bottom on here. Does that make sense to everybody? So if you're the doomsday prepper and you see a bunch of people like wide-eyed, like, hey, you know what, guys, let's enact a lockdown. Then, hey, you know what? Let's do me a favor, like, you know, Susie, grab that chair. Billy, grab that stapler. Steve, grab that fire extinguisher. If somebody starts to come through the door, Susie, throw the stapler. Jenny, throw the chair. And Steve, you're gonna blast the fire extinguisher and start to hammer at the door. Low Bundy, we go. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like super complicated. Does that make sense to everybody? Anything that you do is better than freezing. Anything. So just don't freeze. Pick something and just do it. It's better than just being like, I'm a tree. All right. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. I had somebody ask me, I might even hear it, like, what happens if I see the bad guy and I sneak up behind him and I hit him in the head and he's not looking? I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm like, I'll give you the word. Like, that's a win. So like, it's okay. I think outside the box. Like, you know, for our guys, like the example that I always give is we do like all this active shooter training, and they train to like, let's go in the room and we find the bad guy and then we shoot the bad guy. I'm like, the A answer is that I just look through the window and I shoot him outside through the window. But I go home and I go get my medium regular and I call it a day, right? So cheating is good. Think outside the box. You can definitely survive, all right? You have all the tools and you can do it. And you just have to make the decision that, you know what, no matter what, whatever's worth going home to, I'm just never going to give up, all right? Like, refuse to give up and I'm just going to keep going, okay? All right, so kind of the last thing is, we talked about this a little bit, is so people talk about, like, I think after this is very common that we sit down and like, man, if I'm ready, like, can I do this? Totally normal human response, right? So when we think about being ready to go, we can quantify this into 3 things to answer that question. Awareness, willingness, preparedness, right? Awareness. Am I paying attention to my surroundings and accepting things for what they are? Bang, 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 fireworks. Not awareness, right? Like, bang, bang, bang. Oh, like, something's wrong. Awareness. You can't, it's not this hypersensitive vigilance. No one can walk around like combat rolling to your desk every day. Like, you can't live at DEFCON 1. Like, you'll get stressed out super fast. And like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I get nervous. Hands like this. Like, you can't superstar. Like, you can't be like that. Like, it's not, I tried and I failed. It's not feasible to like walk around this like hypersensitive vigilance, okay? But you can like just genuinely pay attention and then think about things and be like, wow, you know what? It looks like a duck. It quacks like a duck. Maybe that's actually a duck. Maybe it's not a firework. So willingness, just thinking about what am I willing to do, right? Am I willing to lock a door? Am I willing to make a page? Am I willing to run out of building? And then once you wrap your mind around that stuff, if you're already at the stuff, you're like, okay, I'm done. Go on to the harder stuff. I'm willing to jump out the second floor window. Like, am I willing to leave someone who's injured, or would I stay and protect them? Like, there's no right or wrong answers. It's just your own willingness, right? Like, am I willing to fight back? Am I willing to take another human life to go home? All right? Like, it's kind of dark stuff, but the bottom line is the way that you act well in the moment and that you don't live with regret or have mental trauma as much afterwards is thinking through your willingness ahead of time. Like, being at peace with what you will do and you won't do. And then once you find that, not being afraid to talk to someone you trust, your parents, being like, you know what, like, what do I expect out of you? Like, how far are you willing to go? They're not right or wrong. It's just what to expect. Like, if I know that the person that says that you with me is like, I'm willing to do nothing. Like, it doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it doesn't. But if I know that about them, should I be like, Steve, grab the fire extinguisher, we're going to war? Like, no, Steve's not the guy. Like, it's okay. There's got to be a Steve in here. I'm wicked sorry, dude, but it's just a name. So, like, but you know what I mean? It's just willingness. It's okay. That's where the willingness is. And now I know this about this person, and I can, like, I just know what to expect. That's totally normal. And then the last part, preparedness, what you were doing today, practicing, right? So like, if you're not sure how to use the PA system or how to lock your door or where the evac areas are, or then try it, practice. The time to learn to do it is not like in the real emergency, like, oh, I'm in meeting to learn how to do this one. Like, sweet, it doesn't check this box, right? Like, the time to practice is now when it doesn't matter that you're going to screw up, right? All right, enough on that. So, last kind of what ifs, encountering the police, like we should expect at some point, like someone looking like that is going to run this building with something that looks like this, right? So when we encounter the police, how do the police tell who's a good guy and a bad guy? Hands, right? So it's okay. Like, I'm encouraging you to take a tool with you, but if you decide you have to take a tool with you, like either tuck and secrete the tool like your pocket, or like if you encounter somebody, like the police instantly drop the tool in your hands, okay? Because that's what they're going to use to determine, like, I'm looking for a man with a gun, right? So like they should know that you're like a woman with a pair of scissors. They should be able to figure that out. But like the bottom line is that, like, you know, what would you want? You want the warm and fuzzy, the empty hands, if you're the confident, so show them your empty hands. They might ask you for information based off, hey, big guy, white, beard, big black gun. Like, I don't need, like, well, you know, it looks like a later model AR. I don't care. Like, I just need, like, general information. It doesn't matter, okay? What they look like, where they went, what do you think they had in their hands, okay? First aid. If you can't do anything else, like if you end up in a lockdown situation or outside, like this is where you guys have a huge leg up, right? Can we stop bleeding? Yeah. Number one thing that saves life in combat is what? Preventing blood loss, right? So if you can apply a tourniquet, if you do direct pressure, all the regular nurse things that you know how to do it. Like once it's like, what's the first rule of medicine? Scene safety, right? Once the scene is safe, go ahead, like put on your nurse hat and do medical and help your coworkers, all right? And you know, if this is like real Red Dawn, don't be surprised if you're locked down for a while. So it's worth thinking about like going this stuff. Like, okay, like I'm willing to go to the bathroom with a trash can from my coworkers. Like weird stuff that you probably don't think about. And if you're thinking about that normally, like you might want to talk to Officer Hardy because you should probably file a report. There's something wrong with you, right? But like thinking about being in there. Hey, if you're like a type 1 diabetic or something like that, like do you keep insulin on you? Have you thought about maybe I should put a stash of like some insulin or some medication I need in like the closest cold silver room to like where my office is, because I could be in there for like 8 hours, or like did I throw a bag with a bunch of like a couple of orange juices and some gummy bears there or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, so just a little bit of prior planning is not a bad idea, thinking about being in there for a while. And then just the last kind of part about this is that like recognize that if like Red Dawn happens here on Friday, we're not coming back to the NPD to go to work on Monday. Okay? Like it's not like they're like, well, geez, I was eventful, guys. By the way, TPS reports Monday. So here, like, something's not going to happen. So it'll be like a regular police crime scene, right? The building will get locked down. We'll have to come in. We'll have to investigate, and you know. The management leadership team should have to know that you don't have to do this alone. Like obviously law enforcement is going to walk you through like the entire process, all right? That's a lot. I know, take a breath. Any questions? Anything that doesn't make sense? Nothing? Yes.
Can I just mention something? So my daughter was at Simmons College last week, involved in that lockdown. And my other daughter was panicking, texting her, calling her. So then I said, if she's in a room with the door barricaded and locked, please don't be binging her phone. Like, isn't that something that we should talk about?
I mean, listen, like trying to control mobile phone communications, like this was like 8 or 10 years ago, it was like a hot button topic, like tell the kids to not pick up their cell phones, like nowadays, I mean, like separate a 15-year-old from their cell phone, like, you know what I mean? Like,
but
it
what
needs
is
to be
the rule
surgically done. So like, yeah, in an ideal world, if you can like limit communication to someone in an incident, like that's great. But like, to be honest, like what's gonna fall apart day one, step one comms, like it's just gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? And like, if this ends up being a massive like event, don't be surprised when comms just fail. So like marathon bombing, like cell phones, you think they work downtown? No, what happened to Verizon? Shut it down, overwhelmed, right? Like, so, and so here we are, like trying, radios are shut down, cell phones are shut down, I'm like, steal, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to like, you're just doing the best you can, so, you know, it is completely feasible that you're not gonna be able to get in touch with your loved ones, or they might not get in touch with you, like, and trying or not trying is probably gonna end up honestly being a point, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, ideally, great, like, you know, shut your cell phones off and be quiet in there, like, you know, hiding in my room and saying, like, bummer, but it's not the end of the world. Anybody else have a good question? Sir?
So we're in 3 different spots in the building.
Yes.
There's 2 suites downstairs,
Yep.
one big suite upstairs. So if the shooting happened upstairs, you said earlier about making common sense decisions. If you're in King McDonald's office, so there's 2 active out of her window. So if you're in there and you hear the code silver, you're saying, and you know it's upstairs, you can just walk out the door. There's no need
Absolutely.
to go into the
Information driven, absolutely, right? Like, where am I? What's the best course of action, right? And like, the bottom line is, we're doing what? Information driven decision making. So it's that you don't have to be perfect. You're not going to know all the answers. You're just going to look at the situation and be like, all right, we all have a higher level of education when we walked in the door this morning. You know what? It's upstairs. I'm downstairs. That's a door. Right. I can see how I'm getting there. Peace. Like, see you later. And when I get outside, I know where I'm going. I'm going across the street to my hasty evac point, right? Totally fine. Absolutely. But conversely, if it was codes over, bang, 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 and she's like, I have a codes over right there. I'm slacking down. I don't know. Fine. Like, you're not going to get like, you're not going to pass fail. You're not going to get graded. But yes, your answer is, it is totally fine. Like codes over is enacting the procedure. Does that make sense? Like, so this is a shift in doctrine for a lot of people where used to be a what presentation? A lockdown presentation, right? It's not. It's responding to violent intruder. So these are all equal tools in your toolbox. Use the tool that you think is going to help you solve the problem best. Good question, sir.
And I just want to say something when we're going on this. So star 75 pound is on the phone, and star 80 pound is on the phone. So star 75 is the automatic message. So if you can't talk, then it will come out, and it says code silver in progress 4 times. It says code silver in progress. Because given any kind of location doesn't allow you to say anything else about where.
Well, actually, let's do this, because while we're on the topic, and now that I have one started, let's just do a page in the building, let them know we're going to do a test, and we'll hear what the sounds of the gunshot sound like. All right, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to do it by the front door while you're in this room, so you can hear it, and then we'll do it in the hallway a little bit closer. So you can hear, like, hey, what's it sound like when it's on the opposite side of the building? Hey, what's it sound like when it's closer? It's actually, like, I'm not going to lie to you, you're going to be like.
So an email can go out to everybody.
Yeah. The whole building knows, but I'm not gonna lie to you, you're gonna be like, you're gonna be kind of whelmed by this. This is a lot of build up, and you're gonna be like, oh, that was well made. But no, you don't need to pop music, it won't be that loud. So, you want to do just a PA announcement or let them know? Yeah, just be advised that we're, as part of the training, there's gonna be some loud pops, so please disregard or whatever.
Hello, everyone. There will be some loud sounds in the Code Silver training. Be aware there will be some loud sounds with the Code Silver training. Oh, you mean yeah, like not NPD people. I'm not sure. I mean,